I'm Scott Weatherly. Welcome to 20th Century Geek. Okay, new month, new topic. Same discussion partner, but no longer just Mike Kennedy. This month I'm talking to former LPW, MPW, Midlands hardcore champion, Mad Mike.
Aye, it's a blast from the past.
Yeah.
Undefeated with certain titles still. BHW Mid-Counties champion.
Well,
British Ironman champion.
It's easy. It's easy to be undefeated when you're the booker.
I wasn't a booker for BHW. Come on.
No, that's fair.
Didn't I beat you in that match in BHW?
You did, yeah. For the
three-way.
Yeah, for the counties championship. So this month, we're going to be talking about a specific decade, 90s wrestling. But before we get to that, I and Mike and myself, we want to sort of go through. We've got some experience in this area. As I said, Mike, former half a star Mad Mike,
aye.
And myself as John Bull.
Ah, that's right. We just still call you Bull nowadays.
Yeah.
And my kids call you Uncle Bull.
They do.
So
it's hung around. It's. I was actually looking back over some photos. Just the other day, I've tweeted a couple of me in lycra. Sorry.
Never put a big guy in lycra, except for in wrestling.
Exactly.
That's the only way it works.
It's I complain about middle-aged men in lycra cycling, but really I can't because I was a large, overweight 20-something in lycra dancing around a ring. So I've been there, I've done that. But before we get into 90s wrestling, Mike, give me your background and how did you get into wrestling?
I started off in Butlins. I remember I was working in Butlins, and they used to give you 75. No, it wasn't 75. It was £65 a week at the time. And the reason you went to Butlins is you got your equity card.
What year?
Last year. And something like that. It was last year. Yeah.
Early 2000s.
It was before that. It was early 90s.
Early 90s.
Very early 90s. Possibly, yeah, it was very early 90s. So you get your equity card and then you can go on and do better gigs. And they used to give you 65 quid, put you up in a converted toilet block, and then took £55 of that out for rent. So you only had a tenner. And then used to have the wrestling organisations used to come in. And once a week they used to come in. And they used to do the typical, heel face matches, and then lose, and then they do a tag team match with the two faces versus the two heels, and then the faces would win. Yay! And then the heels would say to us, right, well, it's the redcoats, you're the people that made us lose, so we want to wrestle you, because we're the referees and everything. So you used to get paid £10 extra if you got into the ring with the wrestlers. They used to give you £10 extra.
So £10 to
get the shit kicked out of you, basically.
Oh, okay. I was going to say
they didn't hold back. They lamped you. They absolutely lamped you.
So what promotions was? Because I'm thinking. I know the NWA.
I think this was Dixon's. I'm sure this was. I'm sure it was Dixon's promotions to come in and do it.
Because they were some old school guys.
They were, and then they were, they looked like wrestlers, which was the whole point, But they were very gracious about it. I mean, they kicked the crap out of you, but they totally. They're totally respectful, afterwards they shook your hand and said, oh, well, thank you very much for that, that's great, when you do it every week, and I had no training, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, no training whatsoever, and then, and so that was my first introduction into wrestling, is kind of like learning as you go, learning how to run the ropes, learning how to, well, I didn't have to learn how to fall down, because if I didn't, they'd hit me again. I kind of figured, if you spend a lot of time on the mat, then they didn't hit you as much. I kind of figured that pretty early. Whereas the person I was tagging with, which is a guy called Carl, he said to me, so I'm going to show these people, I'm going to get up all the time. And every time you got knocked down, he was a dick. Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah.
So that was my introduction into wrestling, and then I went on from there, really.
So really, I mean, the thing I should say is Mike and I met through wrestling.
Did, yes.
We met through wrestling. We met in a promotion based out of Coventry called Midlands
Professional Wrestling.
Yeah, MPW.
Mm-hmm.
in the NT7 Centre.
87.
The 87. That's it. The 87 Centre, training every Sunday. Met Mike, and so how did you get involved with MPW then? Because that was early days, even when I started, really.
Yeah, MPW. I moved to Leicester, and prior to that, I was involved with some things to do with some independent promotions, and I did some stuff with FWA and with Ulf Herman and stuff like that, and Dino Scalo and people like that down that way. And I did some work for the Wrestling Observer, which is kind of strange because the girl I was dating at the time, who lived in Watford, her brother-in-law was in charge of the UK subscription of the Wrestling Observer.
Oh, okay.
And that was my in with FWA. So I just did some stuff for them and got the shit kicked out of me left, right, and centre by
bit of a theme,
mainly by Ulf.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Leicester, I kind of googled promotions, and I came out NBW in Nottingham, Jerry Norton's promotion. Hammerlock came up on MPW. So I contacted, I think it was Psycho Steve. I said to him, I've done a bit of dabbled here and there with it and everything else, but I'd really like to train and learn a bit more. And he says, well, come and see us. And we were in Coundon. They were doing the Coundon training then. They said, come see us in Coundon and look for the one that looks like a poisoned dwarf out of Lord of the Rings. I was like, all right, then I will. And so I went there, met them, and then caught the bug from there. And then just trained with MPW, and then trained to be a trainer with Hammerlock. And then went on from, and the rest is kind of...
history.
Sort of. Yeah.
Sordid history.
Just grew and grew and grew from there.
Yeah.
It got massive and big and...
unwieldy.
And and sort of like...
I mean, MPW actually hit a stride at one point. For a time, we were a very popular promotion.
When I took over the booking.
Yeah.
There was a pattern.
Yeah.
Because I came from a theatrical background, and no disrespect to Magic or Steve, they didn't, and they were great in their own right.
They were great workers,
really good workers. And he knew. Yeah. I mean, even to this day, I'm sure Magic and Steve are fantastic guys. Great workers. But they didn't on the creativity side. When they brought me in to do the booking, I gave them a few ideas principally at first, and then they brought me in to do the booking, and that's when I could start running storylines on shows and start sort of like working with people's characters. And a lot of people didn't get some of the storylines I was coming up with for people, but then they got it in the end, sort of thing. They understood the end goal.
Well, I think
that was a consistency.
There was. I think there was a. We'll get on to. Well, I'll cover that because I experienced that, and I think you and I had a few moments where I was just like, I don't get this, and we'd clash. Where we'll be like, I don't get this.
We had one argument in the entire time we was together.
Yeah. One proper one.
One proper argument, and that was it. But I think you vocalised quite well. You kind of said, you sort of like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And then I'd explain it to you, or I'd say the famous words, just trust me.
Yeah, and I did, and that was the thing. I mean, I think to explain where I came from, I
no one cares.
No, that's right. I don't. I'm still going to tell them. I'd always played contact sports from young age. I played rugby as a kid, and I was always a big kid, so I was good at it.
Did you have a lot of contacts when you was a kid?
I was with lots of people.
Where was your contact? You just pointed out.
Point on the doll.
Point on the doll.
Point on this wrestling figure where they touched you.
Where they touched you. Well, I think I probably touched you more places than anyone else.
Show me on this Mick Foley figure where they touched you.
Yeah.
So I played rugby, and then throughout school I represented Coventry under 14s and played for my school, and then went to university and I played American football for 3 years. Really, I loved it. It was great. I went in daft thinking, well, I get to wear a helmet and pads. It can't be that bad, and it was great, but it hurt like balls. Came out of university and I tried to carry on playing American football, but it was very expensive because you had to rent the kit, like the helmet, the pads and all that kind of stuff, and I just couldn't afford it. And actually it was a friend of mine said, I think there's actually a wrestling, you like wrestling, don't you? There's a wrestling school in Coventry. And at that point training was being done out of the dojo thing behind what is now a Wing Wah restaurant.
That was Camden.
Yeah. Out of that, and I actually contacted Steve as well, actually. I rang Steve, found his number, and he said, no, we moved the 87 now. And like I say, I went along not knowing like anything. Like I was a proper novice, like complete naive.
Greener than green.
I was, seriously. And I knew it was all. I knew it was. The whole thing was a work, and I got that. That wasn't a thing. But going in, and there was like the coconut mats, the blue coconut mats on the floor.
Yeah.
And I remember Magic took me aside, and as soon as I got there, I went in and I said, "Oh, you want to do this?" And he looked at me and was like, "Oh, you're big." Took me aside and was like, "Right, just watch this for the first few minutes." And it was Jekyll, Leon Lionheart,
Okay.
and Nero.
Oh, okay. So
Were,
good
were,
workers,
yeah,
all
yeah.
good
Oh,
workers.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And he said he got those three together, and then he says, "Right, I just want to show, I just want to show Scott. I want to show Scott just a couple of things so he knows what to expect." And he was like, back bump, front bump, side bump, flip, and they did it like bang, 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 bang.
Oh yeah. And Jekyll, out of all of them,
Jekyll
was
big-
the bigger
guy,
And,
not as big as he became, but still a big guy.
Yeah, and a
But
great worker.
God damn it, he could
Yeah,
bump.
he could
Like
bump.
snap,
Totally, yeah,
snap. And I was just like, oh, okay, all right, I'll give it a go. The fear, and I will say this out now. When you're stood there, it's the first time I'm ever going to, and I knew coconut mat, they're not soft as they might look. The first time you do a bump, and you're going to they're like, throw your legs up. Your feet should be where your head is. You're going to land on your shoulders, and with complete confidence, they're
Really?
telling, yeah, all right, and you just land on your ass, and you're just
Yeah.
like, I'm a dick because this is
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah.
I got it eventually, and I was never the best. I'm never a bump monkey. I'll admit that.
No, you're not.
But I could get a snap back bump and a snap front bump or something. But that was it. Like it was a proper school.
Oh yeah, we
That was
trained
it.
We trained hard. I mean, was I training? That
Yeah.
stage?
You started training sort of element of it about a month or so into when I was been there. I've been a
okay.
couple of weeks when you and I started to talk about things and that sort of thing.
Sweet. And I give you your first match.
You did. Well, actually, it's interesting because I have two experiences that I'm interested to know your first. What was your before we get to what was your first MPW match? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was the game. I was tagging with Jekyll against Chris Charisma, and
He was a
what's
great
that?
Chris Charisma, a great worker.
Oh,
he
great
was.
worker! I had some great matches for Chris. Charisma.
Because I love watching his matches. One of a good worker, but a great gimmick as well. Like,
I debuted for MPW at Telford.
okay, yeah.
Telford. I think it was some school hall at Telford.
Yeah.
Wasn't many people there, and it was good fun. It was just a tag team match, and it was just the first time of introducing the character, and it was great to work with Jekyll. I mean, that was to me that at the time, because prior to that I was managing him, of course, because you forget I was Aaron Richard Smythe Esquire prior to that.
Yeah.
And I was the most hated manager in the country at one stage.
Oh yeah.
I was working up and down the country with Aaron Richard Smythe, not just for MPW, for lots of people, and I think that that was my first. That was my debut match. I was on a tag team. I still got photos to this day of that debut match. Great fun.
Yeah.
Hurt like a bitch.
Well, despite being a great worker, Jekyll was stiff as balls. I mean, like his chops. And his
I think
punches,
he was on my team. I'm sure he was.
He probably still chopped you. To be fair, he probably just ran around the ring, was chopping everybody.
He was great. I mean, it was great. I mean, Jekyll was. The good thing about Jekyll was the fact that he was quite working with him I was his manager for a while. If you remember, I was his voice when I first started with MPW, and working with him as a manager was great. And then sort of like working alongside him for my debut match was just like brilliant. Who better I could have worked with, you know? So it was really good. I had nothing but respect for him, really.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because my first match isn't with you at MPW.
Really?
My first match
wow.
is actually against Jekyll, and it was at the Nuneaton Carnival, and it had a storyline because at that point I didn't have a kit.
Nuneaton Carnival, or was it Holbrook?
No, Holbrook's Carnival, but Coventry Holbrook's Carnival.
So LPW though.
Yes.
Nuneaton.
And I was at that point I didn't have a kit because I bought boots by the point and I had knee pads, but I was wearing cut off jeans and a t-shirt, and it was almost like that rule of like I'm wearing a wrestling kit but not a wrestling. I looked like a something handed off.
Fat Raven.
But seriously, I did. I looked like some sort of cast off from ECW's reject bin. I was like an ECW raggy doll. But the match was, I was a representative of Thor Enforcement.
Oh, God. Yes, I forgot you were doing Thor Enforcement before you wrestled, weren't you?
Yes, so that was I was Enforcer.
So you
Thor.
attacked me before.
Yeah, so that's where it worked up to. And
that stupid storyline.
Yeah.
That was like...
So that was my first experience in the ring.
Yeah.
And then I had my first match at the Holbrooks Carnival.
Yeah.
Which was good, and it was against Jekyll. And I remember...
Wow,
it was
coincidence. I didn't know that.
And I remember being told what I was going to do the week before. And I remember spending the entire week. Literally, I had a notepad, and Jekyll and I'd worked through, and I was writing like spots down. And I turned up with this list of spots, and I actually remember having it in front of me, and Jekyll was just like, "No, no, we don't do that. No. We'll discuss it. And we'll talk it through." And he was really like, he was good with me, but he was at that sort of like moment where he was just like, "No, you've overthought this. Just." Was I
Mad Mike then, or was I managing?
You did Smythe that day, actually.
Did I? Mm. Was that the one when Jekyll's foot was on the rope and JJ didn't see it and then counted him out?
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a hell of a show. Jekyll was pissed that day.
Yeah. It was good though. It was great, and that's when that led to me and you, and our first match, and that was when you took over. And my first, I've still got.
Well, friends and family.
It was. Well, we did a couple of friends and families and stuff first.
The one where you punched me in the back of the head so hard.
Yes.
So hard.
Big potato.
No, I've never forgotten. It's just like
weirdly,
strange that.
Yeah, weirdly, a punch to your head, and you seem to remember it.
Yeah,
it's like an anti-concussion.
It's really weird, that one was.
But yeah, you and I
didn't we do a friend and some family show where we did hulking up the Ultimate Warrior?
Yes,
shaking the
that came a lot later.
That came later.
That came a lot later.
That was fun.
That came with confidence. Things like that came with confidence.
Okay. That wasn't the same show. No, I remember you hit me on the head and I said, go home or something.
Yeah.
Just go home.
Wind it up. No, you and I worked up to a no holds barred Falls Count Anywhere match.
You broke my neck.
That's right. Well, no, not literally. Let's just clarify this for people listening. I didn't actually...
Kayfabe.
Yeah, kayfabe. We'll get onto that as well later. Yeah, but that was the point of the match, just to break me in. But it was...
Because I wrote the storyline. I wanted time out of the wrestling ring, didn't I? Yeah. So I wrote the storyline and said to you...
It was in a show called March Madness. And it was videoed by...
No, I wasn't. I didn't wrestle March Madness.
Was it the one before that then?
It was way before March Madness, yeah. Because I took literally about four months off.
Okay.
And I just literally worked behind the scenes and did the booking and everything else. And then organised all the guys. And I said to you, I was wrestling someone, I can't remember who it was. It could have been Thor. Possibly you came out and you put a chair on my neck. And you jumped on the chair and broke my neck, allegedly.
Yeah.
And then I had to be carried out, and off I went. And then
I just want to say though, when you watch WWE or any sport, and you see a head injury or a neck injury or something, the first thing is like, don't move them. Get the neck brace on, get them on a board, but you don't move them.
It's not the MVW way.
We broke your neck, right? Left you in the ring, and the referees dragged you out, and then literally carried you out, screaming, "He's broken his neck."
Yeah,
and we're making it worse.
See, I seem to remember that you broke my neck on the Titantron-esque type thing. That's why.
It was. No, it wasn't. It was in the ring.
It was in the ring.
Yeah, it was definitely in the ring.
Oh, okay. There we are. Oh, sorry, I've been punched in the back of the head since then, so I can't remember.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
But it was some fantastic matches, but it did lead up to us having a no DQ match.
The Iron Man.
The Iron Man
Road
match.
to Glory.
Yeah. But it had...
I still have.
Do you?
I have it.
I'd love to see some of these, because I was very young and way more rotund than I am now.
But it got you character across.
Oh, it did. It
worked. And the whole thing about breaking my neck was to build you as a heel.
Oh yeah, no, I was.
Because I was an uber face.
Yeah, you were really over. But there were that match that you and I had there, the no DQ match, the Iron Man match. The things I remember about it are, there was a girl called Penny at the time that I was trying to sort of she showed some interest in me and I showed some interest in her.
Oh, yeah, from your work.
Yeah, and I basically said, I was like, come along and see. And she brought one of this other girl, Kim, sort of brought her along because we knew through friends. And I never heard from her again after that. Just killed it.
Wow! I killed your mojo.
Yeah, that
awesome.
really killed that. My grandparents also came to see that, my first wrestling match.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I made my nan cry.
That's why she wanted to be in the Morecambe Wise picture.
Yeah, probably. But also, the other thing I remember is the match before it was a
contract and a pole match.
So when we started
Van
our
Boyle
match,
versus Jetta?
I think so, yeah. Yes, it was, definitely. So when we start our match, there's a big metal pole strapped to the side of the ring.
I think it was Rhyme versus Rhyme was the match before that.
Rhyme versus Reason.
Yeah, Rhyme versus Reason. And then Jetta and Fanboy was before that one.
Yeah, so it'd been there a while.
The Rhyme versus Rhyme match was just insane. It's like they're two people wearing exactly the same costume wrestling.
They were good guys, they were really good workers.
Nice guys, but I mean, the audience didn't get it. It's like, which one is which? I don't understand.
Yeah, Rhyme and Reason.
Who won? Who cares?
Yeah. But yeah, I remember you just taking down that pole, and I remember I remember you had it, and me just in my head I can still picture you like getting it. I'm just going, oh.
I was watching that back the other day. That was one of my favourite matches actually. If I had to put them at top 5 matches I've ever had in as Mad Mike, that would be there, and
some really good spots in it.
There was great spots in it and everything, and we worked nothing out.
No,
we just went. We're just gonna go out there. You take 2. You take the early 2.
Yeah.
I take 3. And then we and then the even my entrance. I came down to the entrance and I forgot to run. So then I went backstage and then I ran out and I thought, because I walked around the ring and I thought, I haven't run down. What have I done? I'm not running down. So I just walked back out again. And I thought, I didn't know what I was doing. It looked shit. But, it's just like one of those
But it
things.
fit the character.
It fitted the character,
at the time. Yeah.
And I remember I did my knee in on the
You
first
did?
move. Yeah, first I got you outside the ring. I jumped on you and did my knee. And I limped off the other side of the ring. I just banged my knee with something like a pen or something like that to get my knee working again.
But
the phone spot.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The phone spot works like a dream. That was a real phone, wasn't it?
It was UKFF's hat guy or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was his phone.
Yeah.
And just a random spot. Hello, it's for you. We should put this on something. We should put the match up on something.
If we can get it on Facebook, it'd be great to have it on Facebook.
That'd be grand.
We'll try and do that.
I've got a copy. I'll stick a copy into disc for you before
we'll do it, and we'll get it on Facebook because it'll be amazing. But that was where our friendship started.
Yeah.
I think I'd actually even say us building to those matches, that sort of thing, that sort of thing. And one of the things I think I learnt from you, I don't know if I've said this, but one of the things I learnt from you is I wasn't the greatest worker. I was never going to be The Rock. I was never going to be Hogan. I was never a particularly fast worker. I was never a particularly tight wrestler. So it was always going to be about my character. Like I had to get over as a character and as a mean, horrible heel. Yeah. And it was all about the character, and that's what I learned from you. It was about like, look, the moment you exit that through the curtain and go out there, you've got between that curtain and that ring to sell the crap out of your character. Like, I remember you telling me, like, just find someone in the crowd. Find anyone, the most vocal person, and just pick a fight with them. Like, just to have some verbal sparring, because everyone will back them against you, and that all of a sudden you become the heel straight away.
See, I know what I was talking about.
You did. No, it made perfect sense. I mean, it worked. And I said that was it. And we went off and MPW splintered a little bit and became LPW. And LPW in its heyday was yours. I mean, tell me more about your thinking behind LPW. It changed in a creative standpoint, didn't it? I mean, I think that
there was a few.
So just want to say, LPW became Leicester Professional Wrestling.
Leicester Pro Wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was a case of like I wanted to promote for myself because it was getting a bit stifling because there was we had Magic, we had Psycho Steve, there was a board of directors that we had behind the scenes, and we meet up and there'd be disagreements in regards to the way forward, and we didn't seem to be want to be going forward, and it just wasn't feeling right anymore. And I thought, well, if I do my own shit, then that's going to be the best way of doing it. So I thought about it, and I thought I was doing some stuff outside of MPW anyway for different people and different promotions, and getting the Mad Mike character was over, not just in MPW, it was over in lots of different promotions. So I was doing stuff up in Hull for like Urban Warrior, and I was doing Gang of Four, and I was doing All Star, and I was doing lots of shows around the country, and I kind of thought that it's good just to have a promotion where I have complete autonomy on, and LPW was born from that. I did a show. I think Magic and Psycho let me run the Syston venue as an LPW show for one show, and that was hugely successful.
So was that the first LPW? Syston?
Syston, the first LPW show was Syston. It was me versus Chris Stone in no disqualification.
Let's be honest. You and Stoney never had a match other than. No,
we did. We had a conventional. We've had conventional matches, one or two, but generally, me and Stoney work best as me and Stoney could work each other. We were just two people that could work. Where me and Stoney basically work matches where we kick the crap out of each other. As another example of letting because I job to anyone at the end of the day. There's a lot of misconceptions there, and that I used to, because I was the booker, I used to book myself to go over and win.
What they like to refer to as the Hogan effect.
Yeah, but when you think about it, I lost more or less 75% of my matches. I lost by putting people over, and I didn't give myself the title hardly ever. I didn't even give myself the LPW title until about 3 years into the promotion.
No. I was the first.
You was the first LPW
I was the first LPW champion.
And it was at that show. That was the first LPW show, and it was in Syston. Same show.
Yeah.
And that was very successful. So I decided to do more of them, and also do MPW and do LPW, and then had a falling out with Magic left MPW anyway, and it was just me, Psycho Steve, and the board of directors. I think I had a disagreement with Steve at the time, or something happened with Steve at the time, and some accusations started flying. So I got the hell out of Dodge, and well, that's fine. You don't want to be with me. I'm just going to go and do my own shit.
Yeah.
And pretty much more or less 90% of the MPW guys knew that.
Came with you.
Yeah, knew the reason that MPW was successful was, because of the creativity that I was giving into it, which I like to think that was the case. And then they came across LPW, and then LPW just exploded, doing
all over the place.
Five shows a week at one stage.
I was going to say, I was reminding Alex about this. I mean, before I met Alex 8 years ago, so it was just before that, maybe even around then actually, when I was with Alex. I remember us doing regularly, week in, week out, Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights.
Yeah.
Like week in, week out. I mean, there must have been a year, maybe longer, when almost every weekend we were doing 3 shows.
And I never made a penny out of it. Not one solitary penny did I make out of LPW.
Yeah.
Which is ironic.
It was. I mean, it was a huge success. I mean, we had. I think there was an element of oversaturation as well at times. But we had venues that were hot.
Yeah. And venues that were not.
Venues that were just not. Oof.
Yeah. Really
Syston was a good one. Syston was
great.
Regularly pretty full. We had some regulars there. Lee Hall
was good. Shard End was excellent. Shard End was a really good one.
Was that MPW or was that LPW?
No, it was LPW. I took over.
On the 845?
Yeah, Shard End.
Yeah, that way. The Holly, what was it called? The Ivy Leaf.
Ivy Leaf, yeah. Ivy Leaf. Oh, no, Ivy Leaf. No, Ivy Leaf was somewhere else.
Ivy Leaf was MPW, wasn't it?
No, well, I took over. I took over Ivy Leaf, Shard End, Lee Hall. I think Lee Hall was a new one. I think that was just an LPW one. What was that one called? The one with the small ceiling. Minworth. Yeah,
Minworth. This was there was a couple of venues where we were just. It sounds daft. I mean, we were never like Madison Square Garden.
No, Shard End was pretty close though.
Shard End was good. Packed. We got some. I mean, I remember the matches I had there. Some of my best matches, some of my favourite matches were at the Ivy Leaf. Were me and Scotty Grimm versus the UKPs, UK Pitbulls.
It was me.
Was it you?
It was me, UKPs against Scott Grimm, John Bull, and Gabriel Gray.
That's right. You the nation. We were the first
Nation of Domination.
No, we were the
Nation of
Damnation.
Damnation.
We were the Damnation, and then Gabriel Gray went off and used it very successfully in other promotions. But we were the icons of dominance. Me and Scotty Grimm. Because I'm saying I don't see Scotty Grimm anymore at all. You know, but what a guy! Fantastic guy, really good guy.
Yeah, it didn't matter if he was gay.
Doesn't? No, you're right. It doesn't. The fact he isn't,
No,
and the fact he's now with someone and got a kid. Besides the point,
but gay men can adopt. You know, that's what it is.
All right, Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but like big guy, but what a worker. Could like bump with the best of them. Amazing worker. Really enjoyed working with him. Really enjoyed working with him.
Intensity. He had an intensity that he could switch on, but then when you got him backstage,
softest,
he was so quiet,
softest guy, spoken. Seriously nice guy.
And when he's running down the path in the woods, he falls like a sack of shit. I still got that footage to this day as well.
Yeah. I mean, but what to say? But like those are the matches I loved. It's like Charlene, when you got that reaction. But the best reaction, and I'm going to talk about this match because it's really important to me, was at Lee Hall. Because that Lee Hall venue was awesome. Like if we got a good crowd there, we got a great crowd.
I broke my back at Lee Hall.
You did.
Yeah.
Your own stupid fault.
And I finished the match.
To be fair, yeah.
And I wrestled the next night.
But it had a big stage. You come out the curtain. You could do stuff. And I don't know if you remembered it, but it was me and Scotty Grimm versus the Chav Nation.
Is that the one with the window
Chav
smashed?
Nation. Yes, but it was the Chav Nation was Chris Stone, Gangster, and
Remy.
Weirdest name.
Love him.
But
love
great,
him.
yeah.
I had some great matches with Remy.
It was a TLC match, tables, ladders, and chairs, and we ran this. It was a legit feud. Like we interfered with each other's matches. We kidnapped each other. We did all kinds of shit.
We almost got beat up in Shard End, didn't we? Remember
yes,
when we filmed in the police almost got. We filming this for those they obviously don't know who's listening, but we're filming this video that we're going to air as part of the DVDs we're making for LPW, and we still got this footage to this day. And basically, it's Gangster. Is it Gangster?
It was Gangster, yeah.
Gangster arrives at the venue in Shard End. He gets attacked by John Bull and Scott Grimm. They bundle him into the back of a car, and off they drive. And I'm filming this with my handheld cam, and then all of a sudden this Shard End sort of like inbred come up to me and sort of, what's going on, mate? What's going on? Yeah, he just kidnapped my boy. He just kidnapped. I'm going to call the police. You stay there or smash your face in. You stay there, smash your face in. Because he talk more brummy, but still. And I'm like, dude, I'm filming something. It's for a program. You know, it's for a wrestling show we're doing here. Yeah. How do I know that? The camera in my hand is probably an indication and a clue. I'll kick your face in if you don't stand there. I'm going to call the police and everything. I'm thinking, okay. So we almost got arrested for that.
Yeah.
The police did come, didn't they?
They did. They turned up and they were like, "What's happened?" And we'd got back by that point, and they were just like, "All right," and left.
Yeah,
because
they checked with the venue to make sure we were legit.
Yeah,
that we weren't actually, you know.
But in Lee Hall, they probably had more important things to be doing. But there was a McDonald's. The thing we did when we drove off. I was driving my car, which was a T-Reg Vauxhall Vectra with John Bull in 3D silver letters on the back.
That, yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. I loved that car. But it was we bundled to start the thing. We bundled Gangster into the boot.
Yep.
But when we went to the corner, we got him out and put him in the back seat, and we had tape and stuff on his face, and stuff. And we went through the drive-through in kit. I mean, I'm wearing my Icon of Dominance T-shirt, as is Scotty Grimm. We had black T-shirts, big silver skull on it with IOD, and then mine had Bull on the back and Scotty Grimm's had Grimm on the back, with sleeves torn off.
Yeah.
And we're both big guys, and Gangster sat in the back dressed like a chav, like proper, like Burberry cap and shelter jacket and stuff. And we go through the drive-through, and we ordered a McDonald's each, and then like Scotty Grimm turns to Gangster and says, "What do you want?" And Gangster leans forward, all tied up, and says, "I'll have a cheeseburger, please." Scotty Grimm turns around and punches him and says, "You're getting nothing," and starts hitting him. And this woman's like, "Would you like fries with that?"
Was it Lee Hall as well when the crowd come out and tried to lynch you and attacking your car?
No, that was... Oh, no, was it Lee Hall?
I think it was
Lee Hall. We had to drive off.
You had to drive off because they were coming out.
We were over as heels.
Yeah, totally. I
big
mean,
time.
Everyone believed the product, and that's the thing. You know?
It was
everyone
bizarre how over we were as baddies. It was crazy. But that TLC match was awesome. I loved that TLC match. It really worked.
So we got that on tape. We must have that on tape.
I've got it on tape somewhere. I've still got it on tape, yeah. And to the extent, though, that guys from the back, they heard out the crowd reaction and they came out to watch. And I think it's one of my proudest moments that match was what it was. It was so good.
It's a bit like mine and Stoney's sort of like Anything Goes match, the first LPW show. Everyone used to come out and watch a Mad Mike Chris Stone match.
Because you didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know what injuries.
Crazy ass shit we was going to do, you know.
So, before we move on we'll move on from our wrestling history. So I just wanted to establish that...
It's a shame. This is fun.
It is, and we probably will... We could talk more about it, but I mean, let's ask a question then. For all the matches we did, and off the top of your head, and this is no disrespect...
Me against you mean?
No. Well, it could be, but no, let's just do it this way. No disrespect to anyone, because this is not saying that anyone's a bad worker or we didn't like working with them, but the 5 people you really enjoyed working with...
okay.
Not just MPW, but just across the board. Who were the 5 people you enjoyed working with? And I'm sure that me and you will have some crossover on this.
I worked Eddie.
Yeah, I was thinking more indie level rather than WWE Hall of Famers.
Okay, well, on the more sort of like UK scene.
Let's do that. UK scene guys that you enjoyed working with.
It was Stoney.
Yeah,
obviously. Without a shadow of a Chris Charisma.
Yes, completely understand that.
Yourself.
Yeah, we all had good fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed working with you. That was I always knew it was going to hurt. Mm-hmm. I always knew that we weren't going to hold back.
Always going to hurt. Can I just point out, there's a dent in my shin, which I'm now showing. It's on one of my legs, where in one of our last matches, you leg dropped me like straight onto my leg
after the match.
After the match.
So that's 3. I'm trying to think. Yeah. So Chris Charisma. Oh, Aphrodite.
Okay, yeah, she was a great worker.
Loved working Aphrodite. Me and Vicky, we beat the shit out of each other. We busted each other open on several occasions. You know, she was and she is. I hope she's still working. I don't know. I've lost contact with Vicky, but she was a great worker.
Yeah, she really was. Held her own so well.
Yeah, she got a lot of criticism, but man, could she work?
Yeah,
she was a good worker. And I got to say, even though I've only ever worked him once, one match that I really enjoyed working was Myatt.
I was going to say Keith Myatt, who, and this is something when I did my research for 90's wrestling, the thing I was thinking about was the explosion of of WWE or WWF as it were then in the 80s and stuff, and the brand being so big and bombastic and stuff. And what we had over here, World of Sport. But Keith Myatt is a World of Sport boy. I mean, he was younger like that. I mean, he's 88, 89, but he's a former. World of Sport guy.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah.
Proper old school.
But he was
true gentleman.
He wasn't doing too much. He was doing RBW, doing an occasional promotion here and there. And I met him through RBW when I worked the UK Pitbulls at that show.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. I was with a tag team called High Voltage and I worked the UK Pitbulls. And the week prior to that, Psycho Steve gave me a black eye and trained me. So I went out there and cut a promo saying the UK Pitbulls did this to me and I'm going to get them. And I took the UK Pitbulls finishing move. Yeah. Loved the UKP. They were brilliant. Anyway, so I met Myatt at that show and we battered the shit out of each other. We had a battle royale. Went over the top, was brawling outside the ring, threw me into a wall. And went backstage, shook hands, like, it was really cool, man. And then we got chatting. And it was only when I started booking that I started giving him regular spots and saying, come down and work for me. And he used to come down all the time. And because he was regularly working for LPW and MPW, that's what started getting his face out there on the scene again.
Yeah.
And then he's gone on from strength to strength from there. So I'm kind of quite proud of him because I kind of
reintroduced
him to the thing. Not that he was ever away. Keith's always worked, but I just gave him more regular exposure.
Well, I'll tell you the thing that always surprised me about Keith was, I wrestled him a couple of times. A couple of show matches with him, and I always really enjoyed working with him because it was always a lot of fun. Tight, but
it's tight. He's old school tight.
He's old school tight, but like I completely trusted him. Like you would always trust him to do within the right thing.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I met him a number of times, but I was always amazed he remembered who I was.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I was like, you're often doing all these things, and like, but I'm just this sort of like rinky-dink wrestler at like, a couple of promotions in the Midlands.
We were never little.
No, that's true. All right, I was a fat rinky-dink. But he was such a good guy, such a great worker.
Well, he was a nice guy. He was a nice guy off stage as well, you know. And he got in the ring and he just turned it up to 11, you know. And he was brilliant, and he could do comedy as well. You know, you get him out there as a nasty bastard, or you can get him in there as a comedic heel. It's just so good. And I remember the reason I say Keith Myatt, even though I've only ever worked him once, twice if you include the Rumble, but once, because me and Myatt built up a storyline over 2 years where we threatened to fight each other and we never did.
Yeah.
And then when he took your championship, if you remember.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And then he was undefeated, and then we built up this match over 12 months, the match between me and Mad Mike and Keith Myatt. And we did lots of things, and we did it across different promotions as well. We didn't just keep it to LPW. We went on UKFF, we went on forums, we went to different promotions where we worked on the same card, but then dissed each other. You know, we used to diss each other when we were off on different promotions, not working the same ones. So we built this up over 12 months, and we had one match. And I have never ever been defeated by Keith Myatt. Just, you know, Keith Myatt 0, Mad Mike 1.
Yeah.
And when I saw him at the charity show,
undefeated.
Yeah. I said to him, I said, I would love to give you a win. I'd love to just wrestle you just once.
Yeah.
Just one more. And he said he'd arrange it, but hasn't got around to it yet.
Ships have cropped past the dot soon.
Yeah, but he's a great guy.
So your top 5 then are Chris Stone?
Chris Stone, Chris Charisma, yourself, Keith Myatt, Aphrodite.
Yeah. Good work as well.
Yeah.
All 5 of them, amazing workers.
Yeah, they're really good workers, yeah. You're only as good as the person you get in the ring with, though.
That's true.
I mean, you know, if I you know, I'm sure if I got in the ring with, you know, a few of the other guys, I reckon that we would have an okay match, but it wouldn't be a great match. And I think, you know, you've got to gel. And with all them guys have gelled. Yeah, it's got to be that chemistry there.
I would agree. There was a certain chemistry that you could get with certain workers. I mean, I'd say the same. I think, you know, if I was to give my top 5, again, Chris Stone, because it was always good fun and you could get away with so much stuff. Jekyll,
yeah. I never worked Jekyll.
Loved working Jekyll. It would be hard and he would be like brutally, but you knew you were going to get a good match.
He was brutal but safe.
Yeah, and you'd always get a good match of him.
I was supposed to wrestle him at the Welsh tour.
Yes.
You had to cancel the first show.
I'd probably then say yourself, because we had some really good fun.
We had good fun, yeah.
A weird one, which I always in my head always sort of springs up. But, I had a couple of matches with him.
Daniel Bryan?
No, I met him. I didn't really work him with the thing, but no, Andy Shoes.
Oh, Andy, yeah.
I used to like working Andy Shoes.
I don't think I ever
As
worked.
a big heel and a smaller, younger guy, we actually had some really good little angles and stuff. So I actually
Andy was
a
nice guy as well.
Yeah, he was. I really struggled for that 5 because it's like you said, there's so many, but.
Remy was not necessarily the best work in the world, but he was a nice guy, and you could pull a good match out of it. Oh, Gangster!
I was going to say Gangster.
Yeah.
That's what I was actually. Do you know what I was just thinking? There was something there. There was a match. There's a couple of guys in my head that I'm really sort of like. I was throwing around, and there was Gangster. His dad Ronin. I actually had some really good matches with Ronin.
Well, yeah. I mean, me and Ronin. I think we only had one match, and it didn't work very well. Because I don't think Ronin wanted a job to me, and I didn't want a job to Ronin. It's just like
clash of.
We don't want a job to each other. It's just a double DQ. That'll be all right.
The stroppy bastard versus the stubborn bastard.
Yeah, that's it.
Nobody's going to.
Which one am I?
Yeah, take your pick.
Oh, okay.
I
think I'm stroppy.
Yeah,
stubborn, definitely.
But no, and there was other guys as well. I'm struggling to remember the names. We met them doing some. I'm so annoyed I can't remember them. We brought them in, or you brought them in for LPW, but we met them through some of the promotions. He was a copper, and Neil.
Oh, Enforcer.
Loved working with him.
Oh yeah, I worked with him a few times. He was a great guy,
and I really enjoyed working him. So there were so many guys I enjoyed working. It was a good time. I'm glad I'm retired, now because.
Well, you kind of retired.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I wouldn't go back.
Best of 5.
Yeah, we keep saying it, but I think this is going to show that you and I have got experience. We've been around the block. I mean, and there's just looking back on this, there were names that kept cropping up. Like, do you remember Hugh Mungus?
Loved Hugh.
Hugh was amazing, and he was one of my first matches, my early matches as well. And he was
I
awesome.
worked Hugh a couple of times.
He was doing a German gimmick at the time.
Herman.
Yeah, and it was.
Oh no, he wasn't. No, it wasn't. Oh gosh, I've forgotten what his name is now. It wasn't Herman.
I just remember being a big German character that he didn't talk, and yeah. But the angle was me. I was gobbing off against Psycho Steve, saying, "I'm bigger than you. I'm going to squash you. I'm going to basically pummel you." And he said, "Well, I've got some." He said, "Like, you might be, but I've got something bigger than you." And I was sort of like, and then Hugh comes out, and you're just like, "Whoa!" The guy's like 6'2", about 1,200 pounds. The guy was huge.
Oh, he was a big guy. Was Mark, wasn't he?
He was a lovely bloke. I remember that when we did shows at the AT7 Centre in Coventry, there was a KFC. There was a Pizza Hut or something like that, and there was a couple of takeaways basically.
Yeah.
And everyone would always dash off and get their sort of like, whatever. And I remember getting back, and Hugh was sat there with to himself, family bucket KFC, and if you went near it, he would look at you like, touch my chicken, I'll break your face.
I remember travelled with him once down to. We did a show up here, and then I travelled down with him to go to a Hammerlock show. Did a Hammerlock show with him, and I worked him at the Hammerlock show. And he was just a lovely guy, and chatting to him the entire journey going down about him and his life, and it's like, wow.
I mean, this is the important...
Mark Kent.
Yes, that was it, yeah. But this is the important thing, to take out of all this. I mean, for all the, all the work that went back on in the ring, all the hits you took, all the whatever, all the angles and that, backstage was actually a really good laugh.
Yeah.
Like, really enjoyed it. And there was some really good... We had a bit of a... I'm not going to call us the clique, but we had a really good group.
Yeah. That
regularly hung out. We did all the promotion.
I kissed most people.
You did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about the other thing I was thinking about is the stuff we did, like especially System, when we promoted the hell out of that for no other purpose, for no reason.
Toka got bit.
No, it was me that got bitten.
You got bit.
I got bitten. Yeah. Put my hand through a letterbox, and there was a fucking Jack Russell or something on the other side. It bit my fingers. Little shit. But Toka, another guy that I would never work with again in my life.
Oh, he tried to glass me at an SCW show.
Well, this is what I want to
SWA.
This is but this is something to make clear, and it will come clear, I think, when we talk about 90s wrestlers in a bit.
Yeah.
There are two kinds of people, really, I think, that get into the wrestling industry. There are, I'd say that, there are those that take it serious and want to be safe and see that it's an entertainment.
Yeah.
That involves a certain level of athleticism, but understand that you're only, like you said, you're only as good as how safe you are with your opponent.
Yeah.
And then there are others that just want to go out and be like, look at me, I'm brutal, I'm extreme, and or they want to be they're the number one. And Toka was definitely in that camp of, I'm going to do something to outmatch everybody. Even if he didn't tell people. So the examples I can always think of, him turning up with a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire and going, we're going to do this, and then basically trying to...
Yeah, not even running it through the promotion.
First, no, just turn up with it.
Just turn up with it.
Or the fact he tried to bully you into doing a strap match. Not with you, but he kept trying to push you and was like, I want to do this match, I want to do this match, I want to do this match. It was like a dog collar match or a strap match or something.
Yeah, but I think I was always open to it, and that's the thing about it. I was always open to
ideas.
And I would, if I said no, I would tell you why I say no.
But it wasn't but he never gave you like advance note. I'm not saying he'd turn up with a chain and be like, I'm going to do a strap match or a chain match tonight.
I think I think it was Leicester when he put the razor.
That was what I was going to say. Yeah. We did a show where we ended up having to cancel the show, but taking down the ring, someone cut their hand because he'd hit a razor blade that he was going to do a blade job. To explain, he was going to cut his forehead to get blood
on a family show, and hadn't told anybody. Not even me, which was the
promoter.
Yeah.
So they were the two people you get, and I think, as you can see, all the people we have gushed over and talked very favourably about are very much in that first camp. They all knew it was entertainment, and they all knew it was about being a good worker. And to be a good worker, you work with people. I think that's the important thing.
I don't think Toka was necessarily a bad worker. He could work. Toka could work.
He could do a match.
He could do a match. He could hold himself together. I think Toka's problem was the attitude that he brought to the ring.
He was selfish.
Yeah, and he was out for himself at the end of the day.
So
or out for my wife. Hey. Should have a
story
story altogether.
That was behind the scenes. Let's save that. Let's not give everything away.
No.
Let's save some of that for the biography.
The biography,
yeah.
The Mad Mike story.
Yeah, didn't see that coming. The Mad Mike story. So really, I mean, that's us. I mean, that's it's a very sort of high level sort of view of. There's so many anecdotes, so many stories.
We could do an entire podcast based on our careers.
Yeah, but I think it goes to show that we have an insight into a lot of what goes on in the ring. Mm-hmm. And again, I'm not trying to spout that we were ever the top level, not by a bloody million miles, but we also get the egos and the politics that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to give two more quick things just to point out of ideas. So we never really got paid to do this.
No.
Just to be clear. If you went out to some of the promotions, you'd sometimes get your expenses.
Yes. Yeah.
But I never did it for pay.
No, and occasionally you'd get, if you're booked for like a certain show, you'd get paid something.
Yeah.
But that's few and far between.
But again, there were a couple.
Dixon used to pay.
Yeah, exactly. If they had the money or they wanted to, then if they had, I got paid. I think I've only got paid on 2 shows, and both of those were holiday camp shows, or like there was where they had the money to do it. But I'd never expect a promoter to pay me. It was never my purpose. But I do remember that talking about egos and stuff, there were certain wrestlers that actually felt that they could hold the promotion hostage for pay. I'm not going to name names because I don't think it really matters, but. No. It was an interesting.
They didn't work for us much longer,
no,
did
they? They didn't. But it was an interesting scenario where indie guys that were okay, good, but they'd really inflated their own ego, and there was a hell of a lot of ego. So the point really is, at this level, even at this level, we're doing working man's clubs, social clubs, small local.
Land Rover Centre. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
So that was about 900 people.
We got some good crowds, but one point is that we were still a small. Local promotion, but there were still egos.
Yes, yeah.
So if you now escalate that, and let's go to the 90s, if you now escalate that to some of the guys involved in the 90s, it's no wonder some of the shit that went down in the late 90s went down.
That's it, cut!
Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of a pin in it there. Mike and I went on to talk for a long time, so I thought I'd split this into 2 episodes. I hope you've enjoyed learning something about Mike and I's past, about the experiences we've had in our professional wrestling career, which on the smaller scale, on the indie circuit, was a lot of fun, and we may have collected a few bumps and scrapes and bruises along the way, but I don't think I'd change much of it. So come back next week, or next episode, and we will be discussing the full-on 90s wrestling, from the neon craziness of the early 90s to the Monday Night Wars and the Attitude Era, and eventually the collapse of WCW. So thank you for listening, and I hope to see you soon. If you want to make contact, I'm on Twitter at 20th Century Geek. I'm on Gmail, so please email me with any questions or any suggestions of anything you want, which is 20th Century Geek at gmail.com. And I'm on Facebook, which is just Facebook / 20th Century Geek. So please come and seek me out, and check out some of the previous episodes on iTunes. Subscribe, leave us a 5-star review if you want, or not. Just give us any feedback. All of it is will be happily received. Okay, see you guys later.